They're the ones who smile politely, nod at the right time, and seem like they've got it all together. But what if I told you that some of the calmest people you know are actually fighting the loudest battles inside their minds? Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet, beneath the composed surface often hides a world of suppressed emotions, silent suffering, and emotional overload. This isn't about drama, this is about trauma psychology. You might recognize them. Or maybe you are one of them. People who've learned to function on autopilot not because life is easy, but because survival mode became second nature. These folks don't lash out. They overthink. They don't fall apart publicly. Instead, they carry hidden trauma with a quiet kind of strength. They laugh at jokes but feel hollow inside. And their silence isn't peace. It's often emotional exhaustion. In this video, we're going deep, not just to explain the psychology of those who are calm but broken, but to reveal how psychological resilience is built from pain, how coping mechanisms often mask PTSD symptoms, and how you can start identifying, understanding, and even healing this inner storm. If you've ever felt misunderstood, hypervigilant, or like you're strong but tired, you're not alone. And what you're about to learn might just change how you see yourself and others forever. The mask of composure. Why some people seem calm but are emotionally overwhelmed. You ever meet someone who never seems rattled? Always composed, always fine? It's tempting to admire their cool-headedness, but what you're often seeing is a highly developed mask. These people have usually lived through chaos, so staying calm became a trauma response. Their nervous systems learned early on that showing emotion wasn't safe, so now instead of breaking down, they shut down. What looks like emotional stability can actually be emotional numbness. Take someone who grew up in a household full of conflict. They weren't allowed to cry, yell, or be too much. So what did they do? They buried their emotions deep, and now as adults, they can sit quietly in a room while feeling like a storm is tearing them apart inside. They seem calm, yes, but they're in survival mode, silently managing internal battles that most people don't even notice. That's not peace, it's pain wearing a poker face. This is where things get complicated. Society praises calm people. We reward strong and silent types. But we rarely ask what that silence is costing them. Many of these people are dealing with anxiety and trauma, even complex PTSD, without ever realizing it. They've learned to cope, not to feel. And while it looks like emotional intelligence, it's often emotional overload. But if you look closer, you'll start to see the signs, and once you do, you'll never look at quiet people the same way again. Emotional suppression and the cost of always holding it together. When someone is always the strong one, there's usually a hidden price tag attached. People who constantly hold it together often struggle with suppressed emotions they never gave themselves permission to feel. They've been so conditioned to be the rock for others, they forget they're allowed to break too. This constant self-silencing builds up like emotional debt, and eventually, it demands to be paid. That's when burnout, feeling hollow, and emotional exhaustion creep in, slowly but surely. Let's say someone never talks about what's bothering them. They brush off pain, distract themselves with work, or joke their way through discomfort. Sounds familiar? That's not strength. It's coping mechanisms doing overtime. Over time, the lack of release leads to mental health symptoms like irritability, insomnia, even chronic fatigue. The body starts screaming what the mouth refuses to say. This is where mental health awareness becomes critical, because unprocessed pain doesn't go away, it just goes deeper. But here's the kicker. Many of these emotionally stable people are the most deep-feeling individuals you'll ever meet. They feel too much, not too little. They're just so used to feeling alone in their suffering that they've stopped expecting anyone to understand. But what if they could stop carrying all of it in silence? What if there were real, tangible ways to unpack the weight they've been hauling for years? That's exactly what we're about to dive into next. Overthinking and hypervigilance. When calm is a form of control. Ever notice how some people seem calm, but their minds never stop racing? That's the paradox of the overthinker. On the outside, they look collected, but inside, they're analyzing every word, every glance, every possible outcome. This kind of mental gymnastics is often a byproduct of anxiety and trauma. When someone's been blindsided by emotional pain before, Their brain starts scanning constantly for danger. It's not paranoia, it's hypervigilance dressed in quiet. Think of someone who double-checks everything, replays conversations in their head, or always has a backup plan. That's not just being prepared. That's a trauma-driven need for control. And control feels safe. These people aren't overachievers for the glory. They're trying to outrun the chaos they once lived through. Many live in fear of messing up or being too much, so they keep everything in check, including their emotions. It's exhausting, but it's how they survive. Now here's the truth most won't say out loud. Being calm is their way of staying invisible. If they're quiet, no one asks questions. If they're perfect, no one sees the cracks. But this cycle of overthinking and control takes a toll. The mind needs rest. The soul needs space to breathe. So the real question becomes, how do you begin to trust calmness that isn't built on fear? That's where healing journeys begin to take shape. Quiet strength. The power and pain of feeling too much. There's a type of strength that never raises its voice. It doesn't seek attention or applause. It simply endures. These are the deep feelers, the ones who absorb energy in the room like a sponge and carry the emotional weight of everyone around them. They're the first to notice when someone's hurting, but often the last to get asked, "Are you okay?" Their quiet strength is beautiful, but it's also draining. And without support, it can morph into emotional numbness or full-on signs of burnout. Take someone who's always there for others, listening, helping, showing up. Their empathy is their superpower, but it also makes them vulnerable to emotional overload. And since they rarely unload themselves, the emotional baggage just piles up. What looks like calmness is often a practiced stillness to avoid feeling overwhelmed. They're not cold, they're full of feeling. Sometimes, too full. And when you feel everything, it's tempting to shut everything off just to breathe. But here's what makes these people extraordinary. Even when they're strong but tired, they still care. They still show up. They still love deeply. And that's what makes the path to trauma healing so important. Because they deserve peace, not just endurance. But how do they start letting go without falling apart? What does real mental health support look like for people who rarely ask for it? That's exactly what we're uncovering next. The hidden journey, from survival to healing. Here's the truth no one talks about. Healing isn't loud. It doesn't always look like therapy sessions or motivational speeches. Sometimes healing looks like getting out of bed when everything feels pointless. It looks like finally setting a boundary or choosing rest over guilt. For those who've lived in survival mode, the idea of healing can feel foreign, even threatening. After all, when you've spent years carrying emotional pain, putting it down doesn't feel natural. It feels exposed. Think of someone who spent a lifetime performing emotional triage, always tending to others, never themselves. When they begin their healing journey, it's often slow, messy, and deeply personal. Maybe it starts with journaling, maybe with a quiet walk, maybe with reaching out for real mental health support. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Books like The Body Keeps the Score or Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving, offer tools, but the hardest part? Giving yourself permission to heal. And here's where the transformation begins. Not when everything's fixed, but when you realize you never had to carry it all alone. These calm souls, these people who feel too much, aren't broken. They're learning to live differently. Healing doesn't erase the storm. It teaches you how to walk through it with grace. And maybe, just maybe, help someone else do the same. So here's the question. How long have you been holding it all together for everyone else, while quietly falling apart inside? You've seen yourself in these words, haven't you? That silent suffering, that emotional exhaustion, that mask of strength hiding years of carrying emotional pain. But now, you know, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not beyond healing. Start small. Speak what hurts. Breathe before reacting. Rest without guilt. Read what heals you. Start with Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach or Permission to Feel by Mark Brackett. Healing isn't a straight line, but every step counts. And no, you don't need to explain your pain to earn support. You deserve mental health support simply because you exist. Let go of surviving. Choose to live. Choose to feel. Now it's your turn. What part of this spoke to you the loudest? What are you ready to let go of? Comment below. I read them all. And if this helped you in any way, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started on this journey of emotional intelligence, trauma healing, and becoming more than just calm, becoming whole.